Hey guys, and welcome back to the Let's Play. So, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing events and more specifically attendance rewards. Now this is sort of a build up to a larger video that I'm doing on the economy in Black Desert, but talking about how event-based economies work and specifically attendance rewards is going to be the purpose of this Let's Play. Provided the game lets me do it, as I've been crashing quite a lot today. There's been a lot of reports about people crashing during Node Wars. I've been crashing fairly often today just playing the game. So, to start off with, I'm fairly sure everyone knows about attendance rewards in Black Desert. Every month you get loyalty attendance rewards for logging in every day. There's 35, 5 sets of 7. And usually the big rewards for the month are 10 Shikatu seals, 2 sets of 5. As well as a fine accessory box. Other good rewards that exist are memory fragments, hards and sharps, and then usually there's at least one or if not two advisive valks, and some sort of wildcard stuff such as whale tendon pots, high quality drought boxes, golden items, and of course blackstones and single memory fragments to round out the month. So loyalty attendance rewards in themselves serve one purpose, and that purpose is to get players to log back into the game every day. It boosts player numbers and helps increase player retention, as people that can step away from the game, if they step away from the game for a couple days, usually they're thinking about stuff such as loyalty attendance rewards and thinking, oh, I should get back on and play the game more often. Whereas in games that don't have them, or other similar things such as dailies in World of Warcraft, players that stop playing the game for a while are more likely to not really feel a need to log in except for brand new events or leagues. A good example of that would be Path of Exile, where the player base experiences huge dips after the release of a new league, where the player base surges for the new league release, and then after a couple weeks it goes back down to a new low, as players await the next new league. So, in and of itself, the goal is fairly good. Games and developers want players to be playing their game over other games. They want players to fill the world, to create guilds, and to help other players and form a community. And attendance rewards, especially daily attendance rewards, cause players to log back in and stay playing the game over other games. Now, the main problem with the attendance rewards in Black Desert is not that it exists. In fact, the existence of attendance rewards is something I personally like, as it rewards me for playing the game. The problem with the attendance rewards in Black Desert is what is known as an event-based economy. And event-based economies are essentially economies that rely upon events, such as attendance rewards, which are events, as you can see from patch notes, in order for certain items to enter the game. Now, in Black Desert, the main culprit of the event-based economy are yellow accessories. And when I say yellow accessories, I specifically really mean Tungrad earrings and ogre rings, as well as to a lesser extent basilisk belt. Crescent guardian rings, enough people farm Crescent Shrine that they aren't really a problem. But the other three, particularly ogre rings, are the main culprit of the event-based economy. 1 second. Sorry about that. So, why is this a problem? Well, the main problem is that the scarcity of items in games is something that developers usually like to keep strictly regulated. If an item shouldn't be in the game in overwhelming quantities, then developers can tune the drop rate so that that item drops X amount of times that players perform the action required to drop the item, be it killing a simple monster like killing crescents, or doing something a bit more difficult like killing Karanda or Zarka. There's no way that the developers at Pearl Abyss are not aware of exactly how many Dandelion boxes or Zarka boxes are supposed to be entering the economy every day or every week or even every month, with the amount of times that Karanda and Zarka are killed. If they want more Zarkas to enter the economy or more Dandelions, they can increase the number of boxes that Karanda drops, they can increase the number of latent auras she drops, or they can increase her spawn rate. Consequently, if they want to decrease, they can go the other way, decreasing her spawn rate, so changing the world boss schedule, decreasing the number of latent auras she drops, and decreasing the number of Dandelion boxes rewarded to players. So this is how the normal distribution of popular items is supposed to work. The developers have a target number of items they want distributed to players, and then if players want more of those items, they need to perform the action. Is that a horse? That is a horse. Hello, horse. They need to perform the action required to earn those items more often if they want the items in game. It's sort of like the attendance rewards. It's a way to get players playing the game more often if there's a valuable item that players want. For example, if players want Dandelion, or even better example, they want the new Offentet weapons. I guess they're not that new anymore, but they're still fairly new. Then players need to kill Offentet more often. Now, of course, the problem with this example is that world bosses spawn on a schedule, and thus they are not reliable compared to something like the Crescent Shrine, where players can just go and kill Crescents to get Ring of Crescent Guardian. So normally, in a normal economy, the game developers want to incentivize players to kill Crescents to get more Rings of Crescent Guardian. So for stuff such as Ogre Rings, what we want them to do is to incentivize us to go kill ogres, or because ogres are outdated content, even better, give us a new set of ogres, such as, I don't know, Dragon Ogres that are level 64, and have us kill those. Then, if we want more ogre rings in the economy, players will go and farm ogres. They will become a contested spot, and more players will farm in that area. Now, with an event-based economy, none of this happens. With an event-based economy, drop rates are tuned too low, and to make up for those drop rates, to make up for the fact that players don't feel the need to farm certain monsters, such as ogres, because drop rates are too low, and they will not make the silver per hour required to either enhance the item, because they cannot afford other ogre rings, or they won't get enough ogre rings. Did I go the wrong way? No, I'm going the right way. Or they won't earn enough ogre rings from farming ogres to make their time worthwhile. Players simply don't do that. And in order to make up for that, the lack of players farming because drop rates are tuned too low, the event-based economy inserts items into the economy through the use of events. Now, event-based economies have their pros and cons. One of the biggest pros of an event-based economy is that if the marketplace, for example, does not have enough of a certain item on it, for example, ogre rings, they can just give us events that reward us with ogre rings. And you could say that they're actually testing the waters for that with events such as the Termian Water Park giving us a free duo Crescent Ring, so Ring of Crescent Guardian. Obviously, an ogre ring is much more valuable than a Ring of Crescent Guardian, but it's a very similar sort of item. It's a yellow accessory, it's something players deeply desire, and it's something that all players need. So event-based economy, the pro is for sure, if there's not enough items in the marketplace, if they want people to have more, or they want players to have more access, then the precedent's already there, and they can easily just give players more events and insert more items into the economy. The problem is, one of the bigger cons, managing the event-based economy is fairly difficult. You need you need developers to pay attention to what is required. So I might actually have to go back to town and get myself some feed here. Let's pick up the items on my own for a second. You need developers, sorry, made the same mistake, to pay careful attention and be willing to insert items into the economy if they see that the economy is lacking a certain item. So in Black Desert, those items are for sure yellow accessories. Boss gear, a lot of players argue that there's not enough boss gear being put into the game and the game needs more boss gear. But boss gear, it doesn't get destroyed on enhancement like accessories do. Sure, you cannot farm basic monsters for boss gear, but boss gear, every time a piece of boss gear enters the economy, the only way a piece of boss gear is leaving the economy is, there's two ways really. Players can destroy them on their own, or players can leave the game. Sometimes I hate the climbing skill in Black Desert. Oh, come on. There we go. Was it because I was sprinting? Was I still sprinting? Probably. So with boss gear, when players leave the game, they take their boss gear with them. Like when I took a 1 month break way back in like January, because I could not stay logged in the game for more than like 20 minutes at a time. All my boss gear, I had multiple Zarkas, a Dandelion, bags, skiats, all that stuff. All that boss gear left the economy. There was no way other players were getting it. It was permanently going to stay with me. So what do I actually want to deposit here? Most of it, I think. I actually do have some good feed left as well. And a lot of this stuff I'm actually just going to throw out. One second, get back to what I was saying in a second. Is there anything else I want to put in here? For certain items that are below certain amounts of silver, it's not worth it to have them clog up your inventory. Just throw them away. There's no real need to... I'll actually keep those because I use those while grinding. There's no real need to force yourself to carry them around. They don't really benefit you enough to warrant those actions. Just a little, nah, it should be good for weight. Alright, and let's go visit the stable master. So, like I was saying, where was I? So they need to properly sort of take a look at the economy. Boss gear, so boss gear never leaves the economy. The only way it does leave is players purposely destroying it, or through players quitting the game. And players that quit the game, it's not really leaving the economy just because... How many of these do I need? 30 each? We'll get like 50 of them. Just because those players probably weren't going to sell their boss gear anyways. Like, even when I quit the game, yes, you can say that the boss gear that I had was... So, let me spam this. The boss gear that I had was not going to enter the economy even if I didn't quit. So that should be fine for now, honestly. I was not going to be selling my boss gear. Like, I've sold a couple of the Zarkas once I realized I wasn't going to play the class, or if I was going to play the class, I could just rebuy the Zarka. My Striker Zarka is a good example of that. I sold that to raise funds. But, same with my Giaths, and I think my second set of bags as well, after I bought a new Giaths. But the only real way boss gear leaves the economy is through players willingly destroying it when they quit the game permanently, or just to do a funny video or make a point. And even that, like, you can actually ask for them back. Like, just because you destroy them, a lot of players will destroy items to make like a funny GIF, and then just ask for them back from support, claiming that they erroneously destroyed them, or didn't mean to do it, or someone hacked them. But accessories, it's not like that. And accessories are, like I've been saying, they are the biggest culprit of the event-based economy. accessories leave the game permanently several times a day. Like, lots of players use accessories to to try and get better accessories. And of course, they are rewarded with a single fail stack. Even if you are doing like a duo or tri ogre, you still get a single fail stack, despite that being worth more than what you lose when you fail a pen. And it's really annoying because the accessory system is awful, and they combine that with the event-based economy. So the biggest con of the event-based economy is, in Pearl Abyss's case, they don't manage it properly. If they managed it properly, the event-based economy, whenever it started to get low or certain accessories hit maximum price, if they didn't want them hitting maximum price, for example, then they could just give us a brand new event, like the Loren Event, except without blue accessories, and just give us yellow accessories in them. And blue accessories face the same problem, depending on the accessory. There are certain blue accessories that are almost never in stock. Like if I go here, let's scroll down for a while. So blue whale molar earrings, you can see the price of these has ballooned. They used to be like, I want to say like 15 million, now they're up to 40 million. Tree spirit belt back up to 30 million, it was down to 20 million at one point. Meanwhile, Serap's necklace is down below 20 million. Ancient weapon core, 12 million. Red coral earrings actually gone down. Blue coral ring has exploded in price recently. Blue coral earring, same thing, used to be down at like 1.5, 2 million. Red coral ring and blue coral ring used to be down at 500,000 each. Schultz necklace went down to about 1.5 million at lowest price. Used to be 11 million actually, back when I started the game. Schultz necklace was like, it wasn't best in slot or anything, but most players could not afford anything close to like a duo or tri ogre. So having a tri Schultz was a fairly good compromise. But yeah, so event-based economy, its biggest flaw is that they're not willing to do what's required to make the event-based economy work. And event-based economy, it's not even something that you can really say that they're trying to do it to make a quick buck with. Because at least for boss gear and memory fragments specifically, you can just kind of point to artisans' memories and say that the reason that memory fragments are so annoying to get, and the reason that they keep them hard to obtain, that there's never in the marketplace, and that players need so many of them, is because they want to sell artisans' memories. Which is, I mean, like, it's a valid argument, but it doesn't mean it's a good argument for the player base. I know that I personally do not like the artisan memory system, and would much rather that memory fragments just went away entirely, and you just had to pay 1 million silver per durability at the vendor. That would be my ideal. But it exists, so whatever. But for accessories, there's nothing you can really point to and go, oh, Pearl Abyss is benefiting from the low number of accessories on the marketplace, or the scarcity of accessories. Players are not going out and grinding ogres non-stop. Botters are not having their bots kill ogre rings to earn ogres to sell. There's nothing that having an artificial scarcity of ogre rings or Tungrad earrings really helps. All it does is make one of the biggest sort of bottlenecks in the game for gearing accessories an even more painful experience, as players are forced to wait for certain days of the month in order to earn, in order to be able to purchase the accessories they need at exorbitant prices to earn a single fail stack every time they fail. And some months they've been good. Like, there have been months recently where the attendance reward for loyalty would have the fine accessory box here and another one here for the 21st. The 21st is usually the wild card, which can be like 25, 35 Valks, or something good like another fine accessory box. Not that 25 to 35 Valks isn't good, but fine accessory box is better. And then, of course, they've got stuff like the guild rewards or the Valks rewards, which are other events that they can add in to give us what we lack. Like, the Valks reward is a great way to give us fail stacks on the sort of free, as well as memory fragments and hearts and sharps, which are other victims of the event-based economy, but at least those have viable ways for players to earn them. Hearts and sharps, yes, it's RNG, but player gathering, you can just do more gathering to sort of defeat the RNG. Gathering, it can be painful, but it's not like it's difficult, and it's fairly profitable in its own right, even if you don't get that many hards and sharps while gathering. Lots of players need to gather anyways just to to fuel their worker empires. You need to gather to get certain stuff for workshops. You need to gather to make certain tools. So a lot of players need to gather anyways. And hards and sharps are just a very useful byproduct that they earn while gathering. But accessories, the closest we have to events that specifically give accessories would be the Loren Event. The Loren Event, so for any players that haven't been around since the last time we got a Loren box event, there's two kind of ways that they do it. Usually the way they do it is they'll give us Loren coins, usually as an attendance reward, one of those attendance events where you just stay logged in for 5 hours a day. Every hour you get a prize, which is usually 10 Loren coins. And then you can exchange 30 Loren coins for a Loren box. I've got a few videos that I don't think I've released them ever, but they just kind of show me opening Loren boxes. And the best thing I've ever gotten, I think, was a Ring of Crescent Guardian. Usually, apart from that, I think the best thing after that's like, do I have it on this character? No, let's see the character. One of those Manos necklaces that everyone hates because they never sell. Speaking of accessories that could really help alleviate the problem, just buff Manos accessories and people would actually buy them off the marketplace. Like seriously, there's no reason that Manos accessories should be as bad as they are. But yeah, there's the event. They don't give enough events for an event-based economy to work. For event-based economies to work, there need to be enough events to supply players with enough of the item. Now, of course, you could easily argue that Pearl Abyss simply doesn't want there to be any higher supply of the item. They want to keep exclusivity for players that already have them. But honestly, with the supply that currently exists, like seriously, if I go here, accessories, there's no supply. There are no Ogre rings. There's no Tungrad earrings. There's no Basilisk belts even. Like seriously, there's no supply right now. The supply has been purchased up for everything. There's not even any Narc ear accessories. Like Narc ears were for a while, or sorry, there's one in buy phase and one in bid phase. But I mean, they're probably gonna be purchased fairly soon by people that want to go for Narc ear accessories. Like one is not enough to really fuel the economy with the amount of accessories you need. Like you need a lot of accessories to succeed. Necklace, there's Seraps. There's a decent amount of Seraps even, I think. Yeah, there's 322. Seraps there's enough of those. But there's no Ogre rings. No one cares about Sicils anyways. Like there's some people with Sicils, and there's a decent number of those. But there's no Ogre rings. There's no Latens Power Stones. None of the good necklaces except for Seraps, really. And for ring, there's no Ring of Crescent Guardian even. Even those are sold out, and people farm crescents all the time. So you can really see that there's just, if they don't want players to get these items, the real question is why. As gear goes up, as well as the inflation that's happening, players are in more and more need of accessories to help bridge the gap between the super geared and those approaching or just barely at soft cap. And limiting the number of accessories is the easiest way to sort of prevent players from catching up. So just because accessories is one of those things where it's really easy to just kind of say that someone got lucky and RNG carried for their gear. It's really like a crapshoot of if you're actually going to succeed in enhancing your accessories, even with a ton of fail stacks, or if you're going to get unlucky and burn through billions of silver. There's enough gifts of people quitting the game and doing low or high fail stack enhancements and succeeding on random accessories, or just failing the entire group and gaining 6 fail stacks for failing to do 2 try Ring Crescent Guardians, 2 try Tungrad earrings, a try Ogre ring, and a try Bazzy bells. Like the fact that people only gain 6 accessories for that, or 6 fail stacks for that, is pretty much a crime, but not necessarily the subject of the video. So the artificial limitation, like, it has quite a few implications to the game itself. The biggest one is that, like I just said, RNG carried people get an even bigger gap, and really there needs to be accessories, so that more accessories on the market, so that players can attempt to bridge the gap between accessories and gear. Like, the fact that gear is at TET for pretty much all TET approaching pen for acceptable gear levels at endgame, but for accessories it's all try with maybe a few TETs for like the rings, is nonsensical. It should be all TET accessories approaching pen as the baseline, and in order for that to happen, TET accessories need to become common. But as it is, duo accessories aren't even common among much of the player base. In fact, much of the player base, pry yellow accessories would be considered a luxury, because pry yellow accessories are still hundreds of millions of silver. So the event-based economy is really failing, and personally I think it's just because Pearl Abyss wants to limit it, because the more they limit it, the more a few desperate players will grind in order to earn the silver to put massive pre-orders on it. It could also be incompetence, I suppose. Is it Occam's razor? Or Hanlon's razor? No, Occam's razor is the most likely hypothesis, is also most likely to be correct. I believe it's Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. There's a few of those, right? Like, there's Murphy's Law, which is whatever can go wrong will go wrong. I think it's Hanlon's razor that I'm talking about here. Never attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence. But it just... the event-based economy is really... It hurts BDO, because at first it didn't really matter. When players didn't need to really enhance their accessories beyond pry, an event-based economy didn't really matter too much, because there were enough events every month that players had the items they need to succeed in pry. Back when Duo Ogre was considered like top tier, and if you had a Duo Ogre, you were king of the hill, the event-based economy, it didn't necessarily make sense, but there were enough events to go around, there were enough items to go around. And especially back then, because ogres were a suitable endgame grinding spot. Like, people didn't grind ogres for money or anything, but the amount of silver per hour that you earned at ogres wasn't god-awful like it is now, because Manshaw's was okay money, and a single ogre ring would sell for enough to recoup most of the money you lost by not farming at a better spot with more guaranteed income. And if you got lucky, then you could actually break even and make a decent profit for however many hours you spent grinding ogres. But as the game has progressed and you need more and more accessories, the event-based economy has started to become woefully outclassed by the demand of the player base. The supply entering the game from events is not enough to keep up with demand, and as a result, the game is suffering. So I've kind of discussed why it matters for accessories, but there's other stuff, like I touched on enhancement materials, which are affected by the event-based economy as well. Obviously, the big two are accessories and enhancement materials, but other items that players don't necessarily think of are items that players don't necessarily grind for, but that Pearl Abyss wants circulating in the economy anyways. One of the most obvious of these is courser materials. If I quickly open up the attendance rewards, you can kind of see that courser materials have been added to the attendance rewards in recent months. I believe it was last month that we had the wind and earth stuff. This month we've got Forest Fury, although Forest Fury we don't really need. I don't think it's a courser item either. This is for Black Magic Crystals, which they do occasionally put into the events as well. But they have been putting courser materials, so Dream Horse Awakening items, into events for at least a couple months now. Black Magic Crystals used to be an item of choice back when, just before Common Sylvia came out, was when they kind of stopped having it be a common item. Like, I actually had a player ask me recently what the Black Magic Crystal box was. Do I have one over here? I might. Yeah, what these were? Black Magic Crystal box. Just because they haven't been given out in rewards for a while now. And players were starting to really wonder what they were, just because Prohibitus hasn't used Black Magic Crystals for a while, which is kind of a shame because we need them more than ever now with Jin, Bond, and Wand crystals, as you need to melt down crystals first to get the essences, and then you need to use a Black Magic Crystal in order to get the Jin, Bond, or Wand. And it's random, right? So if you want the good stuff, you want Jin crystals, for example, Jin Vipers, then you need to be prepared to fight the RNG in order to get enough, in order to make enough Vipers to get a pair of Jin Vipers. And then if you ever lose some, you need to go through the entire process again. So we could definitely stand to have more Black Magic Crystals put in as event rewards. Other event items that they have used in the past for rewards, so I go to the Attendance Reward. They really like enhancement materials, especially hearts and sharps. Memory fragments are definitely something they could definitely put more in. Droughts is something I like, but they could stand to put more droughts in. Like, I find when they put droughts in, they only usually put like 3 to 5. They could definitely use like 10 or even more if they're going to put them in at all. Perfumes, same thing. They should really be putting like 3 or 4 perfumes in, maybe even 5, although that might just be getting a little greedy, just because they're such a needed item, and their supply comes mostly from events and players selling them. If they want to incentivize players to get more of them, then they need to either put more events in or give us more alternate routes to create them. I believe you can make them through alchemy, but I've never done it myself. So you can really see that events, like event-based economies, there's nothing necessarily inherently bad about them. Like, event-based economies is kind of the reason that I have as many chronostones as I do, because I don't buy them myself, but I'm not going to say no to them, especially because they do make enhancing painless if you can collect enough of them to at least do one attempt. All you really lose is the sharp, and I believe durability as well, but you don't lose your enhancement level, which is really nice. If they do that for accessories as well, that would be beautiful, but accessories you got like a 30 or 40% chance to still downgrade, which means you're still losing a ton of money, which is annoying. And you also lose the one that you tried to use for enhancing with. Should I? 1 second. I should probably stack another XP, but I don't really need to. I'm almost done anyways. So, event-based economies, like, there's nothing inherently wrong about them, but they need to be managed correctly. With a normal economy, all you've really got to do is check the numbers. If players aren't earning enough Ring of Crescent Guardian, for example, just boost the numbers of Rings of Crescent Guardians dropped and call it a day. With event-based economies, you've got to implement events. And it's not like Black Desert's really, like, there can't really be an argument that Black Desert needs to keep outdoing themselves with events. Like, most of Black Desert's events are extremely lazy. And that's coming from me, a guy that for every week in review uses the exact same footage of his DK sitting outside of Heidel with graphics set to max and the camera panning slowly around her. Most of their events are simply, if you stay logged in for X amount of hours, we'll give you free stuff. It's like socialism, the game, when it comes to events. So it's not like they're not doing events because it takes tons of developer time to do events. And they also recycle events all the time. Like, we've had the Loren event like 3 times now. We've had various other events multiple times. Like, we've had that memory fragment event with the Simple Alchemy and the Moon Shards twice now since I started playing. So it's not like they're not giving us more events because they're trying to implement better and better events. It's really just they, for some reason, do not want to give us the required amount of accessories for us to be able to properly create high-tier accessories. Whether it's because they don't want high-tier players surpassing normal players even more, or whether it's just because they want to artificially limit the amount of items in the game even more than they would if they boosted drop rate and did away with having events be the reason items come into the event, into the economy at all. no one really knows except for Pearl Abyss. But their event-based economy has many flaws in it with the way that they're implementing it, and they don't really seem to care very much. So I'm going to sort of end it here. Comment below what you think about the event-based economy in Pearl Abyss. Like I said, this is part of a small series in the Let's Plays I'm going to be doing about the economy in Black Desert. And then I'm working on a script right now for an actual video, so not just a Let's Play, but an actual video on the topic of Black Desert's economy and sort of all the things that are wrong with the economy in Black Desert. So definitely comment below what you think, what I should have added, what I've sort of omitted, and what I should add for next time. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end it here. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you liked it, and have a good one.